Jay Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, we're in the studio. So do I even have to tell you anymore? You know what that means. It means get involved in the chat and the comments. Let us know what you think about the latest stories and let us know if you've got any updates for us, if there's anything you want to tell us yourselves. There's quite a few things to go through. We've got an update on Marcus Rashford. Gareth Southgate was talking about him being omitted from the England squad. There's also an Erik ten Hag story doing the rounds. Obviously, there's an Erik ten Hag story doing the rounds every day. It feels like a bit of a race at the minute, doesn't it? It feels like it's 1 minute you get an Erik ten Hag story, then you get a Pochettino story, then you might even get a Thomas Tuchel story. And it feels like, you know, those three are sort of vying for prime position at Manchester United as in terms of who's going to be the favoured choice to succeed Ralph Rangnick. Now, there's a story as well about the Glazers being over in Dubai, I think they were, meeting with the sheikhs there. Some sort of cricket scheme, perhaps, going on there. Scheme's the right word. Plans. We'll get into all that as well. So make sure you get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think about any of them. We'll start off with Marcus Rashford, because Marcus Rashford, I mean, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm almost sick of talking about Marcus Rashford because it seems like we're talking about him every single day. But there is a reason for this, and it's not necessarily a negative one, although you may argue him not being in the England squad isn't great. I'm going to have a look here now, and it says Gareth Southgate's sort of quotes are speaking about omitting him from the England squad. He said, for various reasons, Marcus has dropped out of that a little bit. We have players in that area of the pitch playing at a better level, so it is harsh, but that is the nature of elite sport, unfortunately. He also says, in the last 8 squads, Rashford has ended up pulling out of 5, while Maguire has been in the team and been a key part of the team for massive matches over a long period of time. So you can see why Gareth Southgate there, he's sort of saying that he's, you know, whilst I think he's alluding to the fact that Harry Maguire's form might not be great. There's a reason why Harry Maguire would keep his place in the England squad and Marcus Rashford wouldn't. Me and Joe were talking about this last night on the live, and I think the thing with Marcus Rashford that people have to remember is as well, he's not always a sort of a first choice for England. He's never really gone to a tournament and been first choice. He's been in squads and he's got lots of caps and he's scored quite a few goals, but he's never been somewhere you go, okay, Marcus Rashford starts for England. Harry Maguire does. Under Gareth Southgate, Harry Maguire's a regular. There's no sort of disputing that. He played practically every game since Gareth Southgate took over. Marcus is usually a squad player if there's 1 or 2 injuries. Yeah, sorry if you lost me there for a sec. I think we had a bit of a freeze there, some gremlins in the machine. So apologies for that. As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. Gareth Southgate has gone on to say, I think Marcus Rashford is very realistic. He knows he's in a situation where he's not been getting in the United team consistently and will be searching as much as anyone to get his form back or to get that form back. He also went on to say this, Gareth Southgate. I think it's important for me to go and sit with him and find out a little bit more what is going on. But also there is a reality that we are not working with him every day, so there is a limit to what that is probably going to achieve. So he says he's going to talk to Marcus Rashford, which I kind of get, because, you know, he's obviously worked with Marcus for a couple of years now, a few years, whatever, how long he's been England manager. Gareth Southgate, it's about 4 years, isn't it? So I can understand that. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm not overly fussed about Marcus Rashford missing out on the England squad. I think sometimes it causes more dramas than it solves. I think when you're up against it, when you're getting scrutinised and your form's not great, going away with England can actually make it worse. I mean, you can argue, well, he could go and he could play well and he could get, yeah, but more often than not, England hasn't been kind to Manchester United players, and I think there's a desire there from England fans, even more than some United fans, to hammer a United player if they fail in an England show, if they don't live up to the hype, or if they don't, you know, perform as well as they can do. So I would like to see Marcus Rashford just get back to his best form for Manchester United. He isn't having a great season, and I think there's a narrative building that almost it's all unravelling for him. It's not just a dip in form, that this is the beginning of the end of Marcus Rashford at Manchester United, or beginning of the end of him as a top-level footballer. I'm not so sure about that. I think we have to be a little bit more patient with him. I think we've seen enough over Marcus Rashford over the last few years to know that whilst he hasn't always performed well, he's always got goals and assists. And I think he has got that in his locker. He's just not been doing it this season. I think if he can get back to that, if he can get back to getting his name on the score sheet, providing assists, then he can start building on that and get his performances back up to scratch. Do hit the like button. Please, let's give us some likes. I think we've got any like. Come on, man. What's this 21 likes? Get to 100 likes for a start, and then we can build on that, just like Marcus Rashford can build on his form. Because there are a lot of stories doing the rounds about Marcus Rashford, and he is in demand. This is the thing, because there was a story, wasn't there, a few weeks ago, or was it about a week ago? A bit longer, about 2 weeks ago. That Marcus Rashford wasn't happy about the fact he'd been dropped. Anthony Langer seemed to get ahead of him in the pecking order, and there was talk of him, or this sort of story had come out in the press that he wanted assurances and that he wasn't keen on signing a new deal until he had them. I think his deal runs out in 2023. The problem with that, of course, is that his new deal, we don't know the next manager's going to be to offer him assurances. So it's a bit difficult to say, okay, yeah, you're my guy and you're going to play all the games next season when we don't even know who's going to take over next season. So there's that story that came out. It's just, when you watch Marcus Rashford play, he just doesn't look great, does he? They had the story the other day where he was getting berated a little bit after the game by some fans that had waited for him. I don't know if they waited specifically for him, but they'd waited after the game. He got a little bit of grief off them and reacted to it. Then he did the sort of statement on social media where he was sort of explaining himself. I don't know if you saw Ian Wright's video about that, and I'm with Ian Wright on this. I know he's an Arsenal player, but he's actually talking a bit of sense on it. I don't think Marcus Rashford needs to explain or apologise to it. He was getting a bit of stick, some fans waited for him, and he reacted, and I don't really care about that. I don't mind that at all, to be honest with you. I don't think it's a reason for him to sort of go, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that, or whatever. I think, if you're going to wait after the game and start shouting at players, then I think those players have got every right to give you a bit back. I mean, it's not something I'd do. I wouldn't wait after the game to go and... I know you're all hurting. I was hurting as well after the loss to Atletico, but I won't go and wait after the game to give someone grief. I won't be bothered with that. It's a bit odd, to be honest with you. I'll get through some of the comments and then we'll move on. Flabdini says, Glazers are sucking the love I have for this club out of me. Asamund Fiore, I mean, I agree with that. They've been doing that even when Fergie was still there, but he just sort of managed to keep us successful and keep us going with his genius. But ever since he's left, it's just been, we've sort of staggered, haven't we? And it's not really been anything more than flattering to deceive at best. We've had some trophies. Obviously, won the FA Cup, we've won the League Cup, we've won the Europa League. We've had the top two finish a couple of times. We finished third as well. But since the Glazers took over and since Sir Alex Ferguson's left in particular, it hasn't been great and there hasn't been a plan or a structure in place, and that's part of the problem. We don't have a proper structure at this club. Is that going to change next season? Is Richard Arnold, is Ralph Ragnick in his consultancy role going to help turn that around? I don't know. I hope so, because at the minute it's just a bit of a mess and I don't see any light at the end of the tunnel, I'll be honest with you. Asman Fioroy says, some time ago, Graham Potter's name came up in the manager hunt. No news since then. If rebuild is on the cards, would this gentleman be a good option? Brighton are up against it in a minute, aren't they? They're not having a good sort of spell. I think is it Dan Burn, the defender that went to Newcastle? I think they miss him. I think they're having, is it 5 losses or something on a spin or something like that? I can't remember the exact total, but it's not been a great run. And Graham Potter's sort of lustre has dimmed a little bit, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean? He's not quite as well respected or well thought of or as he was a few months ago. I know that sounds silly because it's just a bad spell and that can happen to any manager. But when you've got someone like Potter, it was a similar thing to Brendan Rodgers. He was linked, wasn't he, about sort of 4 or 5 months ago, which seems like an eternity ago now. He had an awful run. And then all of a sudden people going, well, you don't want Brendan Rodgers. And it's the same with Graham Potter because Brendan Rodgers and Graham Potter, I don't think they've been like first choice. They've been the ones where you go, yeah, no matter what, they're the ones we want. They're managers who have only been sort of slightly linked with the job. They're sort of like the 3rd or 4th or 5th favourite to get the job. So you'd need them to, I think anyway, to have any chance to have done something good or special this season. I think if Brendan Rodgers had, say, won the FA Cup this season or whatever, or, done something special in the league, finished 3rd, people would go, okay, yeah, maybe the Brendan Rodgers shout isn't that far-fetched. Or if Graham Potter at one point, they were kicking around near the Champions League spot. If he managed to get Brighton into the Champions League, even the Europa League, people might go, okay, yeah. But because those two managers are both tailed off, and because it was only sort of a loose sort of, if that's the right word, link with United, I just don't see it happening. I might be wrong, and maybe the board or whoever are going to look at it and go, well, they're two younger managers who've got good ideas and who've done well on sort of smaller budgets in the past. They could be the answer, but they're not for me. I wouldn't want either Graham Potter or Brendan Rodgers to come in, to be honest with you. I just feel like they're both okay managers at a certain level. There's the Brendan Rodgers Liverpool connection. It doesn't even bother me that much. I think I'm more concerned about the fact I just don't see him quite being at the level you need to challenge the Klopps, the Guardiolas, the Thomas Tuchel, if Tuchel stays at Chelsea, of course. of this world. Should we move on anyway? Yeah, let's get into this Glazer thing, right? Because I saw this come into my group chat last night, and it was like a picture of Avram, I think it is. I mean, does it matter? Him, yeah. It doesn't matter if it's Avram or Joel, who's the other one. It's Malcolm, not Malcolm, he's dead, isn't he? I don't know, there's a few of them, isn't there? Anyway, yeah, it was Avram Glazer, and he was meeting with Mansoor bin Mohammed, who, if you don't know who he is, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't. He's Sheikh Mansoor bin Mohammed is the chairman of the Dubai Sports Council, right? So he's a big deal in Dubai, and he's their head of the Sports Council. So Glazers meeting with him, and automatically, right? Maybe you shouldn't, but you do, don't you? You see it, and you think a picture of them all together, and you see Glazers meeting in Dubai with a sheikh. Is there something going down here? Is there some sort of deal? Is he selling some shares? Is there going to be a takeover? Is it anything like that? And it isn't. In fact, it's probably one of the most bizarre sort of stories I've heard in a little while, and it just sums up where the Glazers are at. You've just been outside of the Champions League, right? You've just had before that, your last away game, you got battered off your derby rivals. What's the best thing for the owners to do? What's a way to sort of get everyone buzzing again, get the club going forward, get everyone believing in Manchester United? I know, let's go and have a meeting about cricket. Yeah, cricket, apparently, is the reason that he was over there. Mansoor bin Mohammed tweeted this last night. He said, 16 hours ago, whatever that is. I met with Avram Glazer, co-chairman of Manchester United, today and discussed ways to work together to further raise Dubai's profile as a global sporting hub. We also discussed the UAE T20 Cricket League's launch in January 2023. Now, this is where it gets a little bit odd. Featuring Manchester United cricket team and other teams. Now, I'm not an expert on Manchester United. I've never claimed to be an expert on Manchester United. I'm a Manchester United fan. I didn't know we had a cricket team. This is news to me that Manchester United have a cricket team. I think there was it years ago when United did have a cricket team. I didn't think we still had one. So when I saw that, I thought, what's all that about? Are we going to start a cricket team? Is that what's going on? Because I'll tell you now, I'm not a cricket fan, I'll be honest with you, but even if it was, I wouldn't be thinking what we need is a Manchester United cricket team. What I'm thinking, and I think pretty much from my timeline, even cricket fans thinking, what we need is the owners to sort out Manchester United football team instead of worrying about starting a cricket team. Yeah, that's what the issue is. The football team is a shambles. We don't know who our next manager is. We've got loads of players who are going to be out of contract soon. We're absolutely miles away from the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City, and even Chelsea. We've gone now 5 seasons without a trophy. That's what you need to be focusing on. What are you going to do to sort out the utter mess that is Manchester United football team? Not, let's start a cricket team. Simon Stone, who's a reliable journalist from the BBC, he said, been told United won't be setting up a cricket team. Discussions were around idea that proposed to Avi Glazer, and any acquisition of a cricket franchise will be unrelated to the club other than through common ownership. Avi Glazer did sell £70 million worth of United shares 12 months ago. So it looks like we're not having a cricket team. So that meeting, I don't know what's going on there. Shared through common ownership. I mean, and I say this a million times, I wish the Glazers would just sell up and do one. I know we've all been saying that, haven't we? Flabberdain says, I'm with you, Jay, disgraceful owners. Kieran Malloy says, Lancashire play at Old Trafford. Ian says, we might be better at cricket. Peter Kelly says, don't they play all Old Trafford too? I don't know if this is being joking and messing about or whatever, but there's 2 Old Traffords. There's the Old Trafford cricket ground, which is about a 5-minute walk from the Old Trafford football ground. They're not one and the same. So we don't all play at Old Trafford. It's, there's 2 grounds. And even if we did, we wouldn't play there anyway. We wouldn't play football on a cricket pitch. But that's got nothing to do with anything. Apparently, we're not having a cricket team. This meeting was nothing to do with starting a cricket team. It's just Avram Glazer going over to meet Sheikh I won't get his name right, forgive me, Sheikh Mansoor bin Mohammed. So, yeah, you can make what you will of that. I mean, it's almost one of those, just seems just sort of nonsense, doesn't it, really, to be honest with you. It was just when I first saw it, I thought, okay, what's going on here is itself. Then I thought, what's this? At first, I thought it was the City owner who was meeting, because that's a Sheikh Mansoor in it, but it's a different one. I think if you look at the full names, they're completely different. But I was like, what is going on here? And it's just anything with the Glazers just knocks me sick at the minute. I'm not going to lie to you. Hit that like button. Give us a like. You might not like the idea of a cricket team, but hit the like button anyway, and let us know what you think of the comments of that. Someone saying that. Sorry, I just missed who it was that said it. I'm all here for cricket. Sorry, Peter Kelly said it was a joke. Sorry, Peter. Yeah, it's that early in the morning. I thought you'd have known that, but I wasn't sure because some people may think that they may look at Old Trafford and go, "Is Old Trafford? Is that something to do?" No, it's not. So yeah, just a bit of a mess. Santa Not says this and the stadium rebuild all a distraction away from spending next to nothing again next transfer window. Does anyone agree with that? I think Steve was saying this the other day, that this is all, well, the stadium story, that United are going to knock down the stadium and rebuild it, or they're going to revamp it, or they're going to add to the South Stand, is just a distraction because we're not going to spend any money in the transfer window. Do you agree with that? I wouldn't even call it cynicism. I think it's probably more realism. These owners are just awful, aren't they? And they never get anything right. And we need to spend big, I think, anyway. I don't think we're going to catch the teams that I've already mentioned by spending 50, 60 mil. I think we've got to go all in again. We need a rebuild. DWN says, Glazers are a shambles, WTAF. Caribbean Gaming says, good morning from St. Lucia. What's the weather like there? It's quite warm, actually, in Manchester today. If anyone's missing the weather report that I usually do, it was warm. There you go. So if you're out and about in Manchester, you probably won't need your parka. There was another story that I wanted to get into. This was about potential ownership, a new manager. It was about Ten Hag. Because Ten Hag's been linked with the Manchester United job. And I was saying this earlier, that it seems that every day there's another sort of story about who's in pole position. And there was a story in Evening News, I think it was actually yesterday, and there's been a bit of an update, saying that he's the top of the list, Erik Ten Hag. Now, I had a Ten Hag story, I think, a few weeks ago, saying that the powers that be at Manchester United had agreed that they wanted Erik Ten Hag. So when I said the powers that be, I think there was like maybe the stories like Richard Arnold and some of the board felt that Ten Hag was the prime candidate. Now, since then, we've had more stories that maybe Mauricio Pochettino is still fancied. There's always been this link with Mauricio Pochettino at Manchester United. I think that's been going on for about 6 years, something like that. I remember when Jose Mourinho was linked with us, there was stories doing the rounds then that it was actually going to be Mauricio Pochettino. Obviously, it was Jose Mourinho took over, but that shows you how long Mauricio Pochettino has been not just linked, but liked by some of the United board as well. So that he's there. Thomas Tuchel, because of what's going on at Chelsea, people looking at that and going, yeah, Chelsea, obviously, the Abramovich thing, where he's had his assets seized, they're going to have to sell the club. Are they still going to be this sort of big spenders and be able to, they're even going to be able to pay the wages and everything that they're contracted to? There's a bit of ambiguity there. So that people look at that and go, okay, could Thomas Tuchel get poached, if that's the right word, by Manchester United? I actually thought Thomas Tuchel might be an option even before all this Chelsea thing kicks off, because I think if he doesn't win anything this season, Chelsea might look at him and go, we'll get him rid of you, because that's what they do. If you're a manager at Chelsea, you don't win anything, you very rarely get more time. I think Lampard did, then he didn't win anything in his first season, but he was sacked not long after that. Even Di Matteo won the Champions League. He was sacked within 6 months, wasn't he, after the win of the Champions League. They had a poor start to the next season. He sacked. Jose won the league, third league that he won with him. I think that's the most of any Chelsea manager. Next season, they're absolutely shambolic in the league. He gets fired. So I wouldn't be surprised if Thomas Tuchel actually in the summer they looked at it and going, well, you've not won anything, off you go. I might be wrong. And if that is the case, I would have Thomas Tuchel or Ten Hag is my preferred choice. I think Ten Hag's the one. I don't know. It depends what day you ask me. Ten Hag or Tuchel, both decent managers, good managers. I think Ten Hag's more likely than Thomas Tuchel. And if according to this story, I think this has come from the MEN, he's the prime choice. Let us know what you think. Do you want to see Thomas Tuchel? Do you think that can happen? Do you think Ten Hag does seem to be the sort of the more favoured choice by the people I speak to on social media and amongst my friends and all the group chats and everything else. So let us know what you think. Edgar Samuel says, Rob Blanchett on the Promised Land podcast said that Ralph can work for other football teams while consulting for us. Anyone else find that worrying? I mean, I don't know what the level of consultancy is. We were having a bit of a debate last night, me, Baggers and Joe upstairs in the office, about what is he going to do as a consultant? How much of a say does he have? Is he going to be proper hands-on? Is he going to influence managerial decisions in terms of transfers and stuff like that? Or is he just going to be there to advise? Is he there just to advise the board? Is he there to act as a bit of a conduit between the manager and the board? Who knows? Is it very similar to the likes we've seen of Biggie Stan at Manchester City? I think there was a lad Mitchell as well who went to end up going to the Scousers. There's a few, aren't there, who've sort of acted in as a sort of director of football type role. Is it that similar thing? I know we've got John Murtaugh doing that. My worry a little bit, United, sometimes we seem to have a lot of people in a lot of roles behind the scenes. Because you've got Richard Arnold, you've got, I don't know what Matt Judge's involvement is anymore, then you've got John Murtaugh, then you've got Darren Fletcher, then you're going to have Ralph Radnick as a consultant as well, then you're going to have the manager who comes in. Is he going to want to bring in his own people as well? Probably. You've also got the coaching staff where you've got the likes of Mike Phelan, then you've got Chris Armas as well. there's the psychologist. There's even, I mean, I know it's not the same, but even Raphael Honestly's getting in on the acts. I know he's had a bit of been given a job as a consultant. Seems like there's a lot of people behind the scenes. Is it working at the minute? It isn't. I think we need to have a little bit of a better structure. I've been saying that for years, and I think we should have had that when Sir Alex Ferguson left. We shouldn't have just kept the same model as we had with Sir Alex Ferguson, but just got rid of Fergie. Well, not got rid of him. Let Fergie leave and replaced by David Moyes, and let David Gill leave and be replaced by Ed Woodward. I don't think keeping that structure worked at all. Then we should have gone, let's do it differently. Let's have someone more of a director of football role who can work alongside David Moyes or whoever the coaches that come in. We didn't, and now we're in a position where we're facing, 6 years without a trophy or whatever it is. It's going to be in it even if we win one next season. So it's just not good enough. Manchester United, you expect better. And as Isaac Ali says, this club needs major work. Parav Aramore says Manchester United Hockey Club. That I would get behind. Anything seems better than Manchester United football team at the minute, doesn't it? It's just, honestly, it seems awful, but we've got to rally round. Come on, guys. We can do this. Get involved in the chat as well. Don't forget, there's a subscribe button there in the comments, in the chat. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribing to the channel already. I want to get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of the season. I know this season isn't going the way we want it, but there's a lot of games left, and we're still vying for that top 4 place. So who knows? Hopefully we can get into the Champions League. I think it's going to be difficult for next season, but that's got to be the goal now. I know it wasn't at the beginning of the season, but that's got to be the goal. We've got this little bit of a break, but don't you worry. We're going to have lots of content coming over the next 16 days, whatever it is, before the next game. So make sure you are subscribing to the channel, liking the videos. And if you're not doing so already, go and check out the merch at paddockmerch.com. Check out the members section where there's some extra content there. On the members section, make sure you hit that join button. I've been Jay. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.